and welcome to Charts and Hearts. I'm Sarah, and she's Lindsay.
And together we're working our way through an epic list of rom-coms in order to find and categorize tropes in the hopes of creating the nerdiest spreadsheet podcasts have ever seen.
And today, as part of Sandra Bullock Month, we are doing The Proposal. Oof. I watched this movie when it came out, and then didn't pay any attention to any reviews or other people's thoughts about it.
Yeah.
And also, watched it and never thought very deeply about it. And, oops. And also, oof.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it a lot. It was one that we watched. We're a Sandra Bullock family.
Yes.
So we watched it quite a lot. Probably up until, 5 years ago. Okay. And it was, obviously, I caught on to the scene pretty obviously, and there's some embarrassment porn that I can't deal with.
Yeah,
that's always been the case because that's me. But yeah, when watching it this time, I was like, none of this is really good.
Yeah, I honestly had forgotten that Betty White was in the movie until I watched it. So that was a fun treat for me, except also weird.
Yeah, totally. Because yeah. Okay, so I've got some paragraphs here because I wanted to get all of my feelings out.
Indeed.
So let's start with the obvious problems. This movie is, of course, now known for its super problematic scene with Betty White in the forest.
Yeah.
In the movie, she does say that she has indigenous ancestors and does mention a tribe, which I caught when she said it. I think it starts with a CH, but I did not deep dive further into that. But still, that it's just, I don't even want to talk about how bad it is because I can't even articulate it, and I am a white person.
Yeah.
So it's just, that it shouldn't be in a movie.
Yeah, it shouldn't be in a movie.
In 2009.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this movie was 2009.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rough.
It's not Peter Pan, from whatever, 1949.
Yeah,
it's just,
very recent, and, I don't know. It's very strange, especially because it's Betty White, who, even if the character has indigenous ancestors, it doesn't
obviously
feel believable, and it doesn't feel informed by actual indigenous stories. It feels informed by white people appropriating indigenous stories and
there's also
rituals.
We'll talk a lot about the setting and where they filmed this and all this stuff, but I did notice there is a lot of native art just put up in places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is any of that accurate? Doubtful.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know anything about
it's very much
the peoples from Alaska, but it seems like it's like a native art whale.
Yeah, generic. It's very white people choose indigenous art based on how it looks, not based on the stories or the
stories.
Yeah. Which, if it's indigenous art made by indigenous people is completely fine. That's a great way to support indigenous artists.
Exactly.
If you like their work, support them. But when it's just there with no context, it's
when
weird.
It's we're filming this movie in Boston, we need to make it look like Alaska.
Yeah.
Let's put up a painting of an orca.
Yeah, in some sort of unattributed, probably not legit. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Okay, and then the other part of this is the other terrible racial issues.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that Sandra says at the beginning is absolutely horrendous as jokes and to showcase how bad she is, and oh, isn't that funny? It's 2009. Whew. And then there's everything with Oscar Nunez. What's the character's name or the actor's name? Not to get confused, he does play Oscar on The Office. It's so cliche, and his accent is cliche, and he also seems to be the rich white people's servant.
Yeah,
employee something.
He's kind of just the generic guy around town who does all the jobs that nobody else wants to do.
Nobody else wants to do? Yeah.
I don't know. Which it's fine. Towns have people who are the people who do the work, and they can be whatever race they are. But it's mostly the cliche and the accent makes it odd. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this all of this I knew some of this was coming and stuff, but at the beginning I was like, oh hey, there's a bunch of people of color in the publishing house scenes that are just there as
Yeah.
characters with no references to anything at all. And I was like, hey, look at that.
Yeah, like
we're doing it.
We're
like making some steps.
It looks like a real workplace in 2009 in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
no.
Also, I tried to look for some blogs and articles about the race issues, and those also weren't written well.
Right.
So that was also
it's
upsetting.
Calling out the racism towards the Latino man by then also being racist towards Indigenous people. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, they didn't even mention the family of Native people. I'm like, they did, and also that's not what it's called. Shouldn't you do some research?
Yeah, it's like a tribe or a nation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the correct term for Alaska. In Canada, it would be nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway. The other thing that I kind of wanted to get my feelings out about is because I don't know how to feel about Sandra Bullock in this movie. They definitely wanted it to be Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
But with Sandra Bullock in it.
And like a romantic relationship between the boss and the employee. Yeah.
And so she's so powerful, but she has feelings. And she's a terrible person and says and does terrible things. But so much of them, aside from the racial comments, I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Is because she has to be taken seriously as a boss.
Yes.
It's like up until the point where they get to immigration, the entire part of her and that I can remember, but the entire part of her in the publishing house when she's talking to the guy she's firing, when she's talking to her bosses, all of that stuff, all of it is she's being a boss.
Yeah.
And they're just like, she's a terrible person because she's a woman.
Well, she's being also the toxic masculine boss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like she's obviously not the best boss,
no,
but she's
not.
doing this, and they're treating her like this because she is a woman.
Yes, yeah.
And also, the thing that really bothers me is that nobody in that office is working ever.
No, they're all just sitting around.
They're all just sitting around talking, literally sitting on their desks talking until she comes out of her office, and they're like, oh my god, we have to work. I'm like, so maybe if you worked, she wouldn't be a bad boss.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a super dysfunctional office, so the fact that she's a bad boss isn't surprising. Like, also the fact that somebody can just decide in the moment to fire somebody, like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, that person is, doing something very illegal, and then,
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, or, like, unsafe. But even that, it would be like, go home / here are the police to arrest you, we will fire you in the next several hours.
As soon as you're allowed to. Yeah,
but
basically.
It's not an instantaneous thing.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But she does use her power over Ryan.
Yes.
But not sexually. So...
Yeah, like, she uses it to improve her status and get her citizenship or get her work visa sorted out. But not... She doesn't, sexually harass him.
Yeah. In any way.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little better. It's a little weird.
Yeah. It's,
Ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, back to normal observations
normal
now that
observations.
we've gotten those things out of the way.
Yeah, the cast in this is like such a moment in time because obviously we've got Sandra Bullock, Ryan Reynolds. The parents are Craig, who's the dad. Craig, what's his face?
T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson, who's in many things, but he's the dad in Parenthood.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then Mary...
In the show Parenthood.
Yeah, the show Parenthood. And Mary Steenburgen play Sandra Bullock's parents, which is like perfect casting.
Ryan's parents.
Oh, Ryan's parents. Sorry. Yeah, Ryan's parents.
Yep.
Perfect casting. Love it.
Yeah.
Betty White plays the grandma. Oh, I'm going to forget.
Malin
something. Ackerman,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just really marks, like, I think this is like the year after 27 Dresses came out. And I'm also rewatching certain bits of How I Met Your Mother. I know that's also problematic, but it's not what we're here to talk about. Anyway, I just watched the Wedding Bride episode where she plays Stella in the fake movie. Yeah. And I'm like, she was really a thing for like 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, she was in many rom-com adjacent things. Yeah. Yeah. So, the bulk of this movie takes place in Alaska. Like, it starts in New York, and then pretty quickly they're in Alaska. And it is not filmed anywhere near Alaska. No. At first I was like, oh, Alaska, I bet they filmed it here. No, they filmed it in and around Boston.
I know, which seems so random.
It's interesting. The houses, I would say, I'm sure there are, like, big fancy houses in Alaska, but they would be less, like, open patios, etc. Yeah,
it was very open and very close to the water.
Yes. Yeah, very unprotected, etc.
Yeah, and I don't know why it had to be in Alaska.
Yeah, the whole Alaska thing is weird. I think part of it is sort of Ryan Reynolds' storyline of fighting against his dad's expectation that he would take over the business, so it needed to be far
away. Mm-hmm.
And like so far that there's absolutely no way that you could like live here and work in the publishing industry.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's the only thing I could think of. Otherwise,
because like if it was a San Juan Island or something, like he could still
or if it was whatever, like in Boston, like you could at least live there and sort of be a part owner or something, even if you can't like work there full time. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, it's just got a lot of Hallmark small townness in it, also Hallmark stole almost all of the plot and put it in all of their movies.
The sort of movies, the whole like wandering around the small town aimlessly just for the sake of like seeing some scenery that's not a set,
seeing small town, and like it's so kooky and doesn't know how a small town works, and
the city lady who's trying to like walk on the dock or the boardwalk or whatever
with
in her
heels.
high heels. I mean, other movies have done it before this, and Hallmark and other movies have done it since, but it's just I don't know, it's the not Alaska, Boston vibes, which for Hallmark movies are usually Vancouver, not not New England or whatever. The trees are very different.
Oh yes, and the mountains are so CG in this movie.
Yeah, with like a combo of like CG and then B-roll.
Yeah. The other part about this, again, Alaska, it's very, very white.
Yeah.
And at one point, Betty White talks about how her grandma married an indigenous man, but then I was like, but then your son took over the entire town and just owns all the businesses?
Yeah, it's
cool.
A strange, like, it's very odd. The whole, like, family business assimilation thing. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's legit. I have no idea, but I've never been to small town Alaska.
It just no, exactly, and that's the thing. I'm like, I haven't been there, but also I'm like, well, none of this is making me feel good.
No. Yeah. Oh, we get a wedding scene, which is pretty good. The venue is beautiful, and her dress is great. Mm-hmm. And actually, on the subject of her dress, so they have this sort of like stereotypical ugly wedding dress try-on scene because it's like, oh, quickie wedding, you could borrow my dress from the 40s or whatever, and it is horrendous, but it's horrendous because it doesn't fit. And then once they get it altered, it actually like looks pretty good. Like it's odd, but not in a ugly way, just in a like unexpected
just in
way.
an old-fashioned way. Yeah.
But
just like her speech, Sandra's speech in the wedding is again similar to it was the Drew Barrymore thing we were watching, the second movie that her journalist, I need this to write this story, kind of whatever, is the same thing of like, oh, Sandra Bullock's gonna ruin a wedding while she's standing up at the altar talking about how she doesn't love the person she's supposed to marry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, we watched this movie already, and that movie was better.
Yes. Yeah. While you were sleeping.
While you're sleeping, obviously. Everybody knows.
Yeah. Betty White, other than the stuff we already talked about, is just a gem and a delight.
She's amazing.
Did you read in the IMDb trivia that she didn't want to do this movie because she'd have to be away from her dogs for too long? I'm assuming that they let her bring her dogs.
Maybe that's why it was filmed in Boston.
Maybe. It was like Betty White's dogs can't travel to Alaska, so we have to film closer.
It's in Boston.
The other Betty White scene that I love is the wedding dress alteration when she's like groping around in the like oversized bust area of the dress trying to find Sandra Bullock's boobs.
And she's like, I was with child when I walked down the aisle or whatever.
Yeah.
But the last scene when they are on the medevac and she's like, it's time for the spirits to take me, and then she just is like opens her eyes, she's like, guess they don't want me. Okay.
It's so funny. I love the whole like manipulative old person stuff.
It's amazing.
The other thing that like kept annoying me so much was they have this like very wooden, like a wood antique and white pristine boat that is their sort of daily driver going back and forth from where they live to town, and it's completely open. There's no cover. Like if you could put a cover on it, it would only be for like storage. If there was a cover on it, you couldn't be in the boat. Like that's not what boats in Alaska look like.
No, not
like,
at all.
That would be a useful boat in Alaska for approximately 2 weeks a year. And like thinking about their house and all their land, I'm like,
their pier, like the dock for mooring the boat, is so long, and I'm like,
and
no.
low.
And low,
Yeah.
like like these people, like if you winter in Alaska, not even winter, like storms happen all the time.
Yeah,
but
and also
just
because
like
you're so
high
remote,
tide,
you can't just have a dock that might get damaged because, like,
yeah,
first of all,
who's gonna get you?
they're a boat access only property. It seems like,
Yep.
and like if the dock breaks and your boat access, like how do people get there to fix your dock for
Yeah.
you? And also,
Exactly.
you're so remote, there are no people to fix the dock. Like,
Fix the dock,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's-
And just like when they get to the dock on the town side at the beginning, they just park the truck like randomly on the dock, and I'm like, that's staying there forever? That truck?
I guess
like,
so.
It's just
I guess so.
like, I don't even live in a remote boat only town, but I'm like, have just enough knowledge to be
Yeah.
annoyed by this
Yeah, and also
stuff.
like these people are rich. They would have a bigger, fancier. Like the boat's fancy in terms of it looks nice, but it's not like
nice,
big.
but they would have like a
They would have
a
a
good
big like fishing boat.
yeah.
Yeah, but like a fancy
Yeah.
one, not just a straight metal bucket one.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah, with like insides and a
Yeah.
galley and like all sorts of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, totally. Okay, have we observed and ranted sufficiently?
I just wanted to rant a little bit more
Okay,
about
rant away.
the toxic
Oh
masculinity.
yeah. Oof.
There's a lot of 2009 masculinity in here of like, oh, you're such a girl because you proposed to somebody, like in the fake proposal stories and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But also, Craig T. Nelson is the fucking worst.
Oh yeah. He's the
For
toxic
no reason. Like, he's
masculine-
mad, but he's just like,
Yeah.
it's so bad, and it's just so frustrating that I'm like, be mad that he's going away to do stuff, but like, be better at being mad.
Well, and also like
Just
he's been gone for a while, and you like instead of assuming that your son will take over the business, like start making another plan.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah. Like he said something like, I was going over my retirement plan, and I want you to, like, when are you coming back? And I'm like, you don't have a plan.
yeah, yeah.
That's not a plan. He said no. He's moved literally 5,000 miles away or something
Yeah.
like that. Like, no, get another plan,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, no, he's the worst, and he doesn't like he accepts it kind of at the end, but like not really. Mary Steenburgen,
Yeah, he's not really redeemed.
Like goes from sort of begrudgingly accepting it to accepting it because it's like, well, we'll come up for the holidays. I'm like, you're not going to Alaska for Christmas. You'll come in the summer. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and also, like, Mary Steenburgen, you're rich.
Yeah.
And go to New York. You know what's better than Alaska in the winter? New York?
yeah,
Anywhere? Like,
right?
yeah, it just, I'm like, why haven't you and Betty White gone to see him? Like, you have money?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
issues in it,
holes in this movie.
but also so many tropes.
I know. Oh, boy.
Should we talk about tropes real fast? Because this is
Yes,
gonna be
let's
a
do
long
it, because we're going to go
episode.
forever. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got works at a publishing company.
Yep.
Classic.
Classic rom-com job.
Oh, I would just want to add in here is that being a PA is like the worst ever.
Right? And especially like a male PA or
Yeah.
EA for a female boss.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
And just like,
The worst.
you have to get her coffee? Oh no. Ah, that's
Yeah.
your job.
yeah. Like his job is to make her job doable.
Yeah. And there's like a
Yeah.
lot of it he's very good at. He's
Yeah.
like, but she's like, can you call the lady with the claws fingers? And he's like, oh, so-and-so? Like,
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah.
good at his job.
He's good at his
but
job,
he's also
and
like,
he-
oh, she's the worst because I had to get her coffee. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God. Okay. We've got a fake engagement. I mean, that's the whole thing of
whole
the
point.
thing.
Yep. We've got a quirky bad guy in the immigration guy.
I love him
He's
so
very
much.
quirky and like somewhat frustrating when he shows up in Alaska, but it's because the bad dad brought him there, not
Yeah.
he didn't stalk them there. So
Yeah. Is it Dennis O'Hare? Is that?
something like that. Dennis rings a bell.
Yeah, I think so. He's been in lots of other things. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Dennis O'Hare.
Yeah, the epilogue, which is also a trope.
Yeah.
In the credits, epilogue of the credits, when he's asking people questions, and it's just so random of like, what's his favorite color? What's
Yeah.
his favorite color when he's at home? Like, what-
Oh, yeah.
what-
He's so funny. He's so
Yeah.
funny. And, like, is rooting for them just because he likes the saddest, or, like, rooting to be able to, like, catch them in a
Take 'em
lie,
down.
but not, like,
Yeah.
not really in an evil way. Also, like, I do like that it's an immigration story about white people. Although, I guess this goes in the sort of ranty racist section.
Yeah.
But, like, her life, like, when she gets her work visa canceled, like, if she wasn't white and from Canada, would be a very different story.
Immediately.
Like, yeah. It wouldn't be like, oh, you've got lots of leeway. It would be like, you need to pack up your things and leave the country, like, tomorrow. Here's a flight. Yeah. Okay, we've got Ryan Reynolds essentially playing himself. Yeah.
Yep, like all the other Ryan Reynolds movies we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
Which I think is just one, but still.
I think so.
Yeah, we've got funny and appropriate old lady grandma.
Oh my gosh.
Classic. And the classicest of old lady grandmas. The best. And an absolutely terrible dad that we talked about already.
Yeah,
he's the worst.
We've got a forced kiss. Haha. It goes from, like, so awkward to, like, pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got a super nice ex-girlfriend who's there for reasons.
Yeah, I guess just for drama and also to have, like, a character who's not his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got, like, a naked contrivance that's so ridiculous and definitely not found in Hallmark. It's very much...
They didn't take that part.
This is a theater movie, not a TV movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some hilarious nakedness.
Yeah, I am here for the blow dryer with the dog part because that's really adorable.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
We've got the bearing of souls, sharing secrets to get close.
Yeah.
And have a moment.
And also I like that, you know, he knows her so well at work, but then she shares these, like, more personal things that she's, like, not revealed at work at all. So it's very nice.
Yeah. Her walls are coming down.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's good. We've got a quickie marriage for no real reason. I mean... Yeah,
it's unclear to me about, like, the immigration status of, like, if they had to get married. Like, I don't understand immigration at all. I don't understand how green cards work. Any of that is whatever, but I don't think they had to get married that weekend, too.
No, it didn't seem like that was the plan.
Yeah.
It was mostly just, we might as well, because Yeah, it's very strange. Yeah. We've got the wearing a family wedding dress, and then it's really touching. But also touching.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking more of the feelings part, going all the way back to, like, Sleepless in Seattle and Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
One of our first episodes. But yeah, also there was touching.
There's some groping by Betty White, not Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
But Ryan does some running. It's off screen, but he does run.
Yeah.
And then gives a big speech in front of everyone.
Yeah, at the office. It's really cute. And yeah, they fall in love pretty quickly because they basically go away for a weekend and come back not together, but in love.
In love, yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty quick. And then as we said, we've got the epilogue, like, sort of through the credits, and it's hysterical.
Yeah. I really enjoyed. It's
good
very
times.
good.
Okay, Lindsay, does this movie pass the Bechdel test?
Yes. She has some nice moments with Betty where they're talking, like, Betty's telling her stories and just having nice times. And then also she talks to Malum a bit, but that's more about Ryan.
Yeah.
But again, I think this is the hashtag of our podcast. Does Sandra Bullock need some friends?
Right?
Like, why can't she have a friend?
I know. And, like, as somebody who has, I mean, I'm not an editor at a publishing house, but, like, I have a high-powered-ish kind of job. Like, I have a serious job. I'm not a doctor or anything, but, you know, it's like, I think it's serious. People count on me for stuff. And, like, I couldn't be good at my job if I didn't have friends to help and talk and, like, yeah. So, again, it's that, like, movie tropey thing of somebody who's, like,
a hard
boss has no life outside work, blah blah blah,
and has no and, like, could never have a friend because she can't have feelings because she can't have feelings at work.
To be fair, we don't see her life outside of work in New York.
No, we don't. But I am, like, I'm thinking about Devil Wears Prada again, of course, and then now I'm thinking about Ted Lasso and how she is a hard boss, but has friends.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah,
and Rebecca. Like, look, we did it.
Yeah. Finally.
We did it. Good job,
Yay.
Rebecca.
Okay, shall we make a pie? Oof.
Yeah. I wrote this down, but I don't want to put it in the pie because nobody wants.
Okay, let's not put it in the
pie.
We'll just, like, put it aside, like it should have been in the script and production of this movie.
Yes.
Racism. Okay, so we're not going in the pie. We've got so much kookiness.
So much kookiness. Like, we didn't touch on the kookiness that Oscar plays as his character because there's embarrassment porn and then he's just kooky.
He's
a lot.
Very kooky. And Betty White's kooky aside from the indigenous stuff, but she's just generally kooky and like has no filter because she's old.
Sandra's also kooky. Like the second half of the scene in the woods where she's singing her rap song to get her feelings out, like, oh, she's so fun and kooky, like, like, couldn't we get to that in a better way so we can just have the fun kookiness?
Exactly. And we didn't even talk about the kookiness of the tiny dog and the eagle.
Oh, the tiny dog and the eagle.
I feel like we should call this, what, like 40?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Of the good parts of the movie, the kookiness is...
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot.
And then we have boats.
So many boats, but also not
so many boats. Not the right kind of boats.
30?
30? Yeah, they go on the boat a lot, and never quite correctly, let's say.
Right. And then we have the baby maker blanket, which is, like, so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I guess that leaves us with 30.
30 for the baby maker. Yeah, it is a through line throughout the movie.
It's a solid through line.
Funny.
It's kind of like the key thing. Oh, the thing we didn't talk about was the thing I texted you, which was at one point Sandra Bullock falls out of the boat because of reasons, and she ends up on a buoy in the middle of the ocean, or not the middle of the ocean, and like one of those sort of channel marker kind of things.
Yeah.
And climbs up on it, and I was like, if this was Alaska, there would be 40,000 sea lions on this thing.
All over this thing. Yeah. That's how you can tell that it's not real.
And it's not. It's just funny. Anyways, not at all important, because this isn't the Whale
sea
Tales
lions
podcast.
and and birds.
Yes.
Just like it was too clean.
It was so clean.
There
was no bird
on
poop anywhere on it, and it wasn't like even a little bit rusty.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
moving on. Lindsay, what's next for them?
I don't care.
No, me neither.
I don't. There's a lot of issues.
Yeah. They've been in a relationship for like 2 days.
Also age, which is never brought up.
Yeah, like they're like 10 years-ish apart, and the actors, they're probably, the characters are more.
Yeah. And quickness, and then also like being brought together by this extreme thing that had to happen. So, like, it's not a traumatic event, but it's still, like, they had to do this, or they didn't have to do this, but they decided to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like it'll fizzle.
Yeah, I would.
And I'm fine with that.
Chances are it will fizzle, and if it doesn't fizzle, then it's great, but, like, I wouldn't count on it. Yeah. And then,
I also just wanted to say that when they're, like, negotiating, Ryan, like, he wants a book to be published, and he's talking about getting a 10,000 copy first published or something, and they're, like, negotiating that, and I was like, I don't know if that's a good number or whatever, and then today John Green announced his new book, and he has 100,000 books on his first order.
He's signing 100,000 copies. That doesn't...
Yeah, he's signing 100,000 copies, and there's more than that. So I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand.
Yeah, but I would say 10,000 is probably, like, pretty normal for, like, a first-time author.
For like a first-time author, but I was like, I have no baseline for
no
what
frame of reference,
is good
like,
or not.
What's normal. Yeah.
But now I do.
Indeed.
And now I know a ballpark of...
Thanks, John Green.
Thanks, John Green, for all the things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, and then, Lindsay, what's next for us?
So we've got more Sandra this month. We've got 2 weeks' notice.
Yay!
And on the Patreon, we're doing The Lost City, which Sarah hasn't seen, so I'm very excited.
Very excited.
And then, of course, it's December.
Yeah.
So,
Many holiday movies.
Remember how we brought up Hallmark movies?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't remember what we're doing, but it's going to be great. That brings us to the end of this episode. You can always leave us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on social media. We're at Charts and Hearts Podcast on Instagram and Threads.
You can also head to our website at chartsandhearts.com, where you can submit your suggestions for rom-coms and tropes for us to add to the list. Tell us your thoughts on this problematic movie that was very charming when you didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And again, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/chartsandheartsclub. Last month we did Practical Magic, which was so fun and spooky.
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
And yeah, it was great.
And let us know your thoughts on this movie. What are your feelings? And in the meantime, do you prefer Margaret or Satan's Mistress? Amazing. Okay, bye.